막 꼬질꼬질한 거.
While she was going to Eleanor Hale's place, Annika kept thinking about the baby elephant. Would he still be alive? She thought. As soon as the car stopped at Eleanor Hale's place, Annika burst out of the car. She was in a hurry to see if the baby elephant was still alive. And she saw an older woman who was standing with her arm around an eland, a large African antelope. She was talking to some people and petting the eland. She looked over at Annika and then walked over. She was barefoot. The eland followed her. You must be Annika. 여기서 A의 her은 그 아줌마. You must be Annika, she said. I'm Eleanor Hales. Her voice was very English, clipped, and no nonsense. She had kind eyes. Annika blurted, Is he still alive? Is the baby elephant still alive? Can I see him? Mrs. Hales laughed and said, Yes, he is. He's still weak, but he has a good chance of surviving. A sense of comfort filled Annika. I've named him Kyoko. I will show you around, Mrs. Hales said. B도 아줌마. Mrs. Hales. Mrs. Hales took Annika to where they were taking care of elephants. There were 2 other small elephants. All of them were having a mud bath out front. Kyoko was there. An animal caretaker was rubbing cool, muddy water behind Kyoko's ear. Kyoko leaned against her and touched her with his trunk. Annika wanted to go pet Kyoko, but Mrs. Hales said no. An animal takeover 씨야. Animal caretaker. She said Kyoko needed to feel peacefully secure. 여기서의 she는 또 아줌마. Mrs. Hales. It wouldn't be good for strangers to pet him yet. Mrs. Hales explained that baby elephants die unless they feel safe and get lots of attention. The tiny ones used to die even with lots of attention. After having tea in the veranda, it was time for Annika to leave. She looked at Eleanor Hales and said, Mrs. Hales, is there any chance I could work with you? Mrs. Hales raised her eyebrows. What do you mean by work? She asked. 여기서도 이도 아줌마. Anything there is to do. I could learn immense amounts from you, Annika said. Well, Mrs. Hales said in a dry voice, what good would you be to me? I have workers already who know the animals. Annika shrugged and raised her hands. Mrs. Hales laughed. Write to me, I'll consider it. She shook Annika's hand and said goodbye. Antelope. Eland. Blurred. antelop가 사슴 같은 거야. 애니카는 천문단에 들어가는 천문단에서는 안도했지, 살아있다 그래서. Worried, relieved. 5번에 1번. Sorrowful, angry는 슬펐다가 화난 거. Ashamed and hopeful. 이건 막 ashamed, 막 괴로워 자괴감 들었다가 희망이 찾고 당황했다가 만족했고 anxious and depressed. 막 긴장하고 막 그래 초조했다가 우울해지고. 가리키는 대상이 나머지 넷과 다른 것은 6번의 C. C 하나만 animal caretaker. 7번에서는 적절하지 않은 거. 아니카가 처음 보았을 때 미세스 헤일스는 일런드를 안고 있었어. 아니카를 보자 맨발로 베어풋이었고 아기 코끼리에게 키우코라고 했고 아니카가 아기 코끼리를 못 만지게 했고 자신의 일을 도와달라고 아니카한테 부탁한 게 아니라 아니카가 질척거렸지. 따라서 5번이 틀렸고 without shoes on your feet, barefoot. To continue to live after an incident, war, or illness. Survive. The very long nose of an elephant trunk. 자, 8번. Avoid the myth that writing is easier at the last minute. It's a popular but dangerous myth. Last-minute deadlines are more likely to create stress that can paralyze your thinking and ability to write. You may feel energized by the stress, but the stress also undermines your ability to make logical connections and correct choices while writing. Inevitably, last-minute writing results in embarrassing mistakes, omissions, and a lack of clarity. Finish a day ahead of time and review your work the next day. Never post, publish, or submit a project immediately after you finish writing. Instead, put it aside for an hour or, even better, overnight. Then carefully review what you've written. Always read what you've written out loud. Reading out loud will conceal errors and omissions, reveal errors and omissions that you didn't notice the previous day. Reading out loud helps you locate run-on sentences, awkward phrases, and unnecessary ideas. 여기서는 reading out loud는 너의 실수를 드러내줄 거죠. conceal이 아니고요. run-on sentence, 무종지문. A time or day by which something must be done. Deadline. To make someone or something unable to function, act, or move. P로 시작한다고? Popular but dangerous myth. Less detonable can paralyze your thinking. 마비시키다. Paralyze. The quality of being clear and easy to understand. Clarity. 명확성. Exercise 8, 9, 10, 11. 몇 번까지 해야 돼? 내가 몇 번부터 했어? 5에서 7. 이게 8이었어. 하나만 더 할까? 9까지 있고 10, 11, 12부터 14 이렇게 하나구나. 하나만 더 해야지. 요거죠. exercise. Okay. 문장 삽입. So maybe music is really just another language with its own meaning, but there is is something more magical. is가 고유명사가 아니야, but there is something more magical about music than about any other language. Composers compose music. They write down a series of dots and lines on a page. Then performers come along with their instruments and voices, look at the dots and lines on the page, and make sounds from them. It's all very mysterious, or is it? After all, these words you are reading are just another series of dots and lines. You know what they mean, so you can look at them and make sounds and sense from them. The range of sounds is far huger than that of any spoken language. And because they aren't tied to any specific meaning, the sounds can express much more. There's no musical sound meaning sausage or dirty laundry, or, for instance. On the other hand, a musical sentence or phrase can sound happy, sad, thoughtful, nostalgic, and eager, all at the same time. Words would get exhausted if they try to express as many meanings as that. 그러면 갑자기 음악으로 넘어간 것 같아, 여기서. Or is it? After all, 사실 이것도 그냥 다 점과 선뿐이야. 그냥 네가 뜻을 알고 있기 때문에 make sounds를 할 수 있는 것뿐이야. The range of sound. So, maybe music is really just another language with its own meaning. 의미로만 따지면은 그냥 하나의 other language에 불과한데, 그런데 there is something more magical about music than about any other language. The range of sounds is far, far huger than that of any spoken language. And because they aren't tied to any specific meaning, 여기죠. Number 2. 여기 number 2를 기준으로 문장이 확 전개되고 있어. Very small round mark. Dot. The dirty clothes and sheets that need to be, are being, or have been washed. Laundry. Wanting very much to do or have something, especially something interesting or enjoyable. Eager. 이렇게 하고 답을 맞춰보세요. 정답. (10강) 7강 10강 10강에 5, 6, 7, 8, 9는 5번에 1, 6번에 이거 뭐야? 내가 C라고 한 거야? 7번에 5, 8번에 4, 9번에 2, 7번, 6번에 내가 뭐라고 쓴 거야? 왜 8강까지 갔어? 9강? 와, where am I? exercise 11강이고 여기는 composers 10강 6번 가리키는 대상 6번에 지금 내 C라고 한 거 3번을 C라고 쓰면 어떻게 바보 멍텅구리 똥개야. 6번에 3번 맞고요. 단어는 애니컬 얘기가 나오고 barefoot, survive, trunk, barefoot, survive, trunk 맞았고 deadline, paralyze, clarity. 특별히 모르는 단어는 딱히 없었고 그리고 마지막 거 range, laundry 어쩌고 dot, laundry, eager 맞았다. 수업 공부하기 싫으니까 맨날 욕만 하고 있지. 끝.